If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting.
One thing the Native Americans can never understand about people from Europe, and the reason they gave away the land for just a few trinkets, was because they couldn't understand how anybody could say they could own a piece of the land. They just couldn't. They didn't have that concept. They understood that you cannot own anything in this world because it all belongs to a supreme being. It belongs to God. We kid ourselves when we think that we own things. We belong to God. God created us. We are part of His creation. And He allows us to enjoy everything around us because He is a giver. And God will always give. He said, if anyone lacks, just let him ask, and God will give it to you freely. Second thing, we were created. Would you put created in there? Number one, God's a giver. Number two, we were created to be givers. One time I had this guy, and some of y'all heard the story before. I had this guy and his mom. He was probably in his mid-30s, something like that. And his mom had come to church. I didn't know him, but they were looking for help, and they had asked could they speak to me before a Bible study. And I said sure, and they came in my office, and they broke down on me. He was a meth addict, a crack addict, and he was just destroying his life. And his family had gone through it over and over and over with him. And here they were. They didn't know what to do. They were confused, and he was wanting help, and she was wanting him to get help, and they were just telling me all the bad stuff, you know, and the guy just started crying, and he said, my biggest regret in life out of all of this garbage that I have created, my biggest regret, I was listening close because I wanted to hear what it was because he had a lot of mistakes. He said the biggest thing that I'm ashamed of, and he told me how old he was. He was like 38 or something. He said, I have never given one penny to the kingdom of God. I have never given anything to the kingdom of God. Because we are programmed to be givers. We are made in the image and likeness of God. And everybody wants to be a giver, no matter how hardened they are, no matter what they say. Deep down inside, they want to be a giver. We're made like God, so it's natural for us to give. We're the only creation that is concerned about others besides ourselves. When the earthquake happened in Haiti, we just got together and sent a bunch of money and a bunch of funds down there and a bunch of food and a bunch of help. And we're still sending it, and we need to keep sending it. And when the tsunami happens, and when Katrina happened, a bunch of us in this room, we went to New Orleans and we helped people. We didn't know those people. We ain't seen those people since. We don't know nothing about those people other than we knew they had a need, and inside of us was compelled to be givers, and we went and gave. And when you see people in need, automatically something inside of you says, man, I need to give something. I need to do something. That is not natural with the animal kingdom. With the animal kingdom, they're always taken, and they're always concerned with themselves and consuming with themselves. You don't see one lion go over to another lion and say, hey, I got some leftover antelope. You want some? That don't happen, does it? I mean, a great white shark saying, hey, bro, you want some of this tuna? I got some extra. No, that don't happen. But with us, we can't help but be givers. And the greatest fulfillment that we can have, once we've attained all we can obtain and we realize we got our needs met, is we got to give it out. That's why the richest people in the world spend their lives giving away what they have been given, because the greatest satisfaction and joy for us is programmed in us is to be able to give. Now, we can get our feelings hurt when we give and it's not appreciated or not accepted, or people don't care about we giving, and that can cause us to put up walls and not want to give anymore. But over a period of time, we're going to break down. And we're going to start giving it back again. You show me anybody that don't want to be a giver, it's just because they don't understand the power of giving, or they've been hurt through giving. Somebody hadn't appreciated what they've given them, or they feel like they've been taken advantage of, and it stopped their giving. And that's a trick of Satan. That's a trick of Satan to keep you from being blessed. Your job is to let it go. And once you let it go, then let it go. If it's a gift, let it be a gift and let it go so that you don't have hard feelings after you started giving. Give as the Lord gives. And give out of your blessing. I'm blessed, so I give. I'll be a blessing. We are created to give. Number 3, we are most like God when we give. You want to be like God? Man, I like to be like God. Man, I want more God in my life. I can tell you how to be more like God. When you start giving more. Man, I'd like to have more God in my life. You want more God in your life? Give more. The more you give, the more like God you are. That's why I enjoy being a part of this group right here. Because I'm telling you, you're sitting beside a giver. Somebody close to you is a major giver. If you're a visitor here, I hope you notice we didn't even take the offering this morning. Why? Because the people around you are givers and they can't help but give. The national average, a guy was this week with me on a plane and he was talking to me about giving and he said, the national average is 3% of people are tithers. 3% of the church attenders are actually tithers. He said, what do you think about that statistic? I said, that's crap. I don't think he was looking for that answer. But, so what you thought? I said, not the people I hang out with. So the place where I go, the people I'm around, I think we about 70%. So the regular attenders that attend this group, we hitting on about 70%. He's like, what? He thought I was lying. I'm like, huh? People, I try to be around givers. I mean, if you want a good life, hang out with givers. If you want a bad life, hang out with takers. How much better you want your life to be? It depends on who you're hanging out with. If you're around people that are givers, then you're around people that are godly. And when you're around godly people, godly things happen in your life. If you want to be around devilish people, be around takers. Get yourself surrounded by a bunch of takers, and then you'll realize what the world's all about. You want to be around God's people, then be around givers. And no matter what's coming out of their mouth, you really need to be looking at what's coming out of their heart and out of their pocketbooks. Because the more, when we give, the more we are like God. At no time are you more like God than when you're a giver. You ever heard the word forgive? Forgive means the first one to give. Forgive. Forgiveness is when you're the first one to break down and give. And God is a giver, so He gives us forgiveness. Before we ask Him, He's already given us. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. While we were lost, God gave His Son. Anytime you talk about God's love for us, it's got a give attached to it. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. Anytime you talk about love, you connect it to give. And the more you love, the more you give. And the more you give and the more you love, the more you look like God. God gives freely. God is a free giver. And God